Our garden contained a south-facing area which we used for storage and not much else. It didn't get a lot of sun. It was a bit neglected, and this year we decided to do something about it. The first thing I wanted to do was introduce a source of heat. Evenings here in Europe can be quite short. It gets cool, around 6, 7 p.m. and you tend to move inside, and I wanted to extend that day. First I thought a fire pit, and then online I saw that you can get in Europe now these sort of South African style barbecues, the Braai, which I was quite familiar with from my travels in South Africa. So I ordered one of those, and we set about making a bit of a space for it. The beauty of this is that the braai becomes a focal point, of course, and you can cook on it. And it's also an awesome sort of open hearth, if you like, so you can sit there later in the evening, source of warmth, cook the occasional steak or throw that prawn on the barbie. So here I just had to clear out some of the existing garden. There was a little partition garden that extended out. I just had to add a tile to give the barbecue a place to stand. It's pretty important with something this heavy, made of steel, that the foundation is very solid. Compacting that sand down as much as one can. These tiles, the same tiles we had installed a few years ago, they don't make them anymore. We were lucky enough to find a couple extra ones. I think at this point the delivery man arrived. Now the Braaimaster braais are delivered, as you can see, in 3 large cartons on a pallet, which is quite convenient. So we set about unboxing this. Boxes are pretty heavy, but it's conveniently packaged, and I think it was fairly easy to handle. It comes in 3 sections. This one here is, of course, the firebox. There's a stand and a chimney. You can see the chimney standing in the box there to the left. It was really well packaged together, and I was really impressed with the finish. So there was a bit of a jump there, as I had some people around helping me, and I completely forgot to turn on the camera. So you can see it assembled now on the tile that was prepared earlier to the stand, and I'm just bolting the firebox to that stand. This is a product named Corten steel. It's designed to rust effectively. It gets a layer of oxidation, which will finish up looking a bit the same color as those leaves you see on the right side. So I'm just doing a quick assemble. There's a tray that the coals sit on, a couple of drawers to collect ash, a firebox in the center, and 2 cooking grates. Happily, there's also a door which sort of hinges down and acts as a shelf, as you'll see momentarily. I think you could also close it and use it as an oven. It might be difficult to control temperature, and I haven't tried that, but I think it would be possible. So these particular grills are manufactured by a company here in the Netherlands, up in Bergen, and Braaimaster. I had some conversations with them during the process of buying the grill, and I'm really impressed. Chimney just bolts on. During all this, I realised, okay, there's some shackles, and I remembered seeing an old shackle key from my sailing days as a teenager in the shed that I somehow managed to migrate to Europe with me. So I pull that out, and for old time's sake, used it to tighten up those little shackles. The door fits on as shown there, and then of course there's a very handy space beneath for stacking up your firewood. Here I use ash. It's the same wood as we burn in the house. It's available, of course, here in Europe quite readily. It seems to do a great job on the braai, I must say. It generates good heat. The coals retain their heat for a long time. I've been very happy with it. I just found that I've had to cut it or chop it a little smaller than it comes as those logs are delivered. So, of course, having just set the thing up, we have to test it. I've become better at this. I looked at this footage the other day and I realized the first time I did it, I built quite a weak little fire, really, isn't it? And so now I tend to build a more robust. It gets going very quickly. I think the first few times I did it, it took more than an hour before I had enough coals to be able to work with. But now I've got that down to a much finer art. It's just a matter of being a little more aggressive. So here you see the progression of the coals. That's what we're going to cook with. So we need a pile of those that represents the size of the meat, more or less. I tend to use the grates on the lowest setting for searing chicken or steak. And here, a bottle of one of my absolute favourite red wines, Canoncop, from Stellenbosch, or close by Stellenbosch, near Cape Town. Chicken wings, starter, and some steaks. You can see the size of the fire, it really radiates, particularly when you pull the coals to the side. It's really nice to sit by it. It also acts as a fantastic plate warmer. So you see now here in these pictures, after a few weeks it rained soon after that day, and you can see how the barbecue's adopted that lovely rusty colour. We also picked up a nice little round table that fits that space nicely, and in the next videos I'm going to build a bit of an outdoor kitchen, a bench along that wall to the right. So stick with us and we'll see how this ends.